Oh, you didn't change the name?
Apparently you didn't unmute us either, which is... wonderful.
All right. Well, there's the intro without me. There we go. Listen, panic. Things are muted. I don't know what's happening. But you guys should not be muted. You guys should be good.
It's been a fantastic start thus far. Some might say that it's probably the best introduction to a podcast we've ever had, if I'm being honest.
Oh, God. This is what happens when I decide, you know what? Don't worry, Bear. I'll take care of it. I'll run it while you're gone. Enjoy your trip, wherever you went. And I decided to sit down and go, wait, I don't know if the stream key works. Oh, shit, I got to get the screen regions all over again. Oh, crap, my layout still says Bear Taffy on it. It's fine. We're here.
Welcome to the Roundtable podcast. Here today on June 24th. We're here to bring you the best news around the industry and talk about E3. Here with Mathis Games, Michael A.L. Fox, and Ryan Northern Lion.
Hello.
Hello. How's everybody doing?
I'll just take another stab at it.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate it because I wasn't going to do it again. I was just going to kind of let it just float into the ether and be done. I wasn't really all that concerned about it. Well, today we've got a pretty good show ahead of us. A lot of game talk. Some interesting news topics to talk about that we'll touch on first, including the G2A and Tiny Build, I guess, scandal, if you want to call it such. NX rumors about cartridge usage. We'll be talking about E3 stuff that me and Ryan both played, the full release of Dead by Daylight, and a few other things. So this is, let's start with the good stuff. G2A, Tiny Build, they're fighting. This isn't the first time we've seen G2A actually dragged into the spotlight over their key-selling ways. If you don't know what's going on, basically Tiny Build called out G2A for selling possibly keys bought with fraudulent credit card purchases. And because of the way G2A works, they really don't have a, I guess, like an ID check or a background check like eBay would do if you were to sell something on eBay. They kind of just let the things happen. If they end up finding something suspicious about it, then they'll ask for ID. But outside of it, G2A is mostly incredibly shady. But because of this, they kind of work in this gray market area where their prices are basically as cheap as you can get when it comes to getting keys for Steam and whatnot. But Tiny Build has said they have lost close to $500,000 in sales due to G2A selling these keys, and they've been going back and forth over the past few days. And we've seen some streamers drop them and other people calling them out, and amongst a bunch of other things. So we can't say this is new, but it's happening again. And I'm curious what your thoughts on all of this are.
Well, first,
yeah.
I was just going to say maybe we should list some of the games Tiny Build is known for as well, so people know.
Their latest one was that boxing simulator, wasn't it? Yeah. Punch Club.
That's calling it a boxing simulator is maybe a little bit of a misnomer.
Yeah.
Boxing lifestyle simulator.
Mixed martial arts.
In my case, getting mugged on the street simulator. What happened?
Back Patrol sim.
Speedrunners.
Speedrunners.
Party hard.
I've got a list of all the games here. If I can just
you know what? Let me try here.
All right, yeah.
To get all of them, every single one.
Okay.
Speedrunners.
Yes.
Punch Club.
Yes.
Cluster Truck.
Don't see it.
If that's not on the list, then there's a considerable problem. I guess it's not technically not out yet. No Time to Explain.
Yes.
There was the one that was Sheep. Divide by Sheep.
Oh, good memory.
It's not on the list.
It's not on the main menu drop down of their website. I'll say
that's a shame because that was pretty good. All right, I give up.
8, 9, 10. They got 11. So Final Station, Punch Club, Dungelot, The Shattered Lands.
Yes. Dungelot.
I don't think I played that one.
Road to Valhalla.
Road to Valhalla.
Yeah.
Welcome to Brawlhalla. That's all I got.
Stage Presence.
No idea.
Diaries of a Spaceport Janitor.
Oh, yeah.
Party Hard.
Yes.
Boyd. Speedrunners, Lovely Planet, and No Time to Explain.
I forgot they did Lovely Planet.
I mean, yeah, there might be more, but that's just on their main website.
I'm so psyched to see Diaries of the Spaceport Janitor come back. I never thought anyone would ever hear about that game again. This is one of my weird Nick games that I did on Indie Impressions a year ago. And turns out there's more to be said about the spaceport janitor.
I feel like the G2A tiny build stuff is really interesting for many different reasons, but I think the principal question is like, where does responsibility lie?
Yes.
Is G2A literally stealing keys from developers? No. But are they fostering an environment where people who behave fraudulently can profit, and then just kind of turning a blind eye and being like, well, we had no hand in that ourselves, so we're not really responsible for it? I mean, we all know there's stories of like, stolen credit cards buying like 1 cent humble bundles times 1,000 and then selling the keys on G2A, or even more personally, like imitating YouTubers with similar looking addresses, emailing people for press codes, and then putting those press codes on G2A at a loss, which really hurts developers as well. So, I mean, personally, I'm glad that somebody's calling out G2A. I don't think G2A is like literally Satan, like the poison on the video game industry, but everyone in this call presumably has been contacted by G2A and thus probably turned them down for affiliate stores. And the reason we did it is because they're a little bit shady and they're very developer unfocused. So I kind of like to be on the other side of that personally.
Same here. I hear that those those who are affiliated with it make good money off of it too, and I've seen them come to bat for G2A on Twitter over the past few days, and just streamers fighting with one another, being like, you should have more integrity than that, and it's been kind of dirty and messy. Were you gonna say something, Malf? Sorry, I thought.
I was basically gonna ask you guys the same question of how it's gonna affect people that have G2A as their main sponsor. I mean, you go to their streams and stuff, and you see the G2A logo, and they're pushing that. I guess some people might, some streamers might lose some viewership, perhaps. Who knows? Or they might have to find new sponsors. I don't know. It's not. I mean, I don't know. People say any press is good press, but I don't see how this is going to help G2A.
The thing is, I think if G2A ends up going, tits up, basically, we're going to see something else take its place. Like, a gray market is going to exist one way or another. I'm in the firm camp that if you should just support the developers, and they are, as Tiny Build said, they've worked with people like Humble Bundle and other sellers that work legitimately and bring you cheap prices directly through the developer themselves, and like these approved, I guess, resellers we'd call it, and to just avoid G2A all completely. And I've also read arguments that G2A is necessary where games are way more expensive than they should be because of the way their government works or whatever. And I understand that argument, but there are other ways to get games cheap that are on the up and up. And this is not the first nor the last time we'll probably see G2A being called out for their shady ass practices.
Is it just the site itself, or is it also sort of the way they react to these scandals that makes us think that maybe they're not trustworthy? Because it seems a little bit like maybe both. Yeah, they're not super forthcoming with all the information that I feel like they might need to give.
Well, they give a lot of non-answers, right?
Yeah.
And then they kind of like they gave their response to Tiny Build was like, we'll give you 3 days to start working with us, and we'll give you the money that you think you lost or whatever.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
They wanted a list of the codes, right?
Yeah, they wanted like a list of the codes or whatever.
Sounds like an ultimatum, sort of like a non-cooperative answer.
We've seen Devolver work with G2A, and not work with them, but drag them out. And Devolver's response was just cancel all the keys. They just closed down all the keys that were sold on G2A. But Tiny Build doesn't want to do that. They want the people who bought the keys, who think they bought them legitimately, to be able to play the game that they ended up buying. Which, I can see both sides. I'd probably be more like Devolver, be like, just close the keys down. But, that's taking, people put money into it, and that kind of sucks. It's tough. It's a tough call, and it's a shitty situation, all told. I'm going to turn my light on.
I think it's... Go ahead.
Oh, no, after you, Fox.
I was just going to say, I know I was reading some comments and stuff on Reddit on one of the stories about it, too, and people are saying, this has been, or could have been a bigger issue for the likes of Humble Bundle and other stuff, but I guess their security system and background checking and all that sort of thing is far more advanced. So people are saying this sort of thing will just keep happening to these developers until they have actually put time and effort into designing their their purchasing system to be better. I don't know too much.
When a developer straight up comes down and says, we'd rather you pirate the game than buy it off G2A, then you know you have a problem. It's kind of a...
I think what a lot of people don't realize from a developer perspective as well is that, most games these days, because there's so many of them that come out on Steam, are not Dead by Daylight, where you get these headlines like Dead by Daylight makes itself profitable in like 4 hours, right?
Yeah.
Like most games, they're expensive to produce, even indie games, on the order of tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars. They come out, they do okay for like the first month, and then they're really just in it for the long tail, where they're going to be doing like controlled discounts during Steam sales, and if they can get like weekend spotlights like that, that's where they're going to make the bulk of their money that allows them to sustain development on their next games. So it's important for them to be like, okay, this is the first time this game is ever going to be like 50% off. This is the first time the game's ever going to be 75% off. But on G2A, if fraudulent purchases allow somebody to flood the market with like 1,000 keys at a price that's lower than they've ever been offered before, that kind of shoots their plans in the foot a little bit and hamstrings them, because people are going to be like, why would I ever buy it for $7.50 when on G2A there's codes available now for like $3? So it really creates kind of like an insidious, almost like virus for a game that's even out. Like even if you've made a little bit of money off of it, it kind of shoots you in the foot, because again, nobody wants to buy high and sell low, so I don't think people consider that for the most part, but I have seen a lot of developers complaining about it, and it makes a lot of sense.
So you think they have sort of a responsibility then to govern where the prices end up?
I mean, from a developer standpoint, I'm sure that's what they would like, is like, let us set a minimum price and then we'll adjust it on the fly. But at least I feel like if they're going to be in a good position with respect to developer relations, they should background check the people that are sellers. Like, I mean, background check is kind of like nebulous as well. Like, you're not going to talk to the country's government where they're at and blah, blah, blah. But at least, there has to be an extra control, I think, on letting people sell, especially bulk orders. Like if it's just one person selling one key, whatever. But if one seller is able to put up like 500 keys for a game, then you've got to ask, I think, where did those keys come from?
Yeah, get like, common sense questions. Like this dude is trying to sell like 1,000 fucking keys out of nowhere. All right, can we just see some ID? Like something very simple. Not waiting. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, like, how does like G2A even work to begin with? So, I mean, do they get keys directly from developers in a lot of instances, right? Or
G2A has worked with developers in the past. I know that. But as far as I can't pretend to know the ins and outs, but I'm pretty sure like you and I could go up there and be like, we have these keys we want to offload and we want to sell them. I think G2A takes a cut, you take the rest.
Okay, because I was just gonna a developer puts their shit up on Steam, selling a game for $10, and then you go to G2A and you see it for $9. I'm just thinking, like, that person, if they bought it from Steam or something, and they're selling it for cheaper. I mean, they're losing money. So, but somebody selling something, I don't want to lose money. So I'm just automatically gonna think that it's like a chargeback. I don't get G2A's like what it does. Like its existence seems
it's a middleman, right? It's taking a small cut of someone else's sale, sort of like eBay
for ease of access for
digital
buyers.
Merchandise. I mean, I sort of look at it sort of like an analog to something like MediaFire, where there's a like a website hosting service that offers space for something. You put stuff on it, and it's up to those people to govern how they use it. And in this case, they're using it in a malicious way. So it's not to say that G2A is necessarily intrinsically doing something wrong, but they're also not stepping in to regulate something that they should be regulating, in our opinion. Yeah. And that's where the subjective element comes up. It's
when
not
there
everybody
are
has the same opinion.
A ton of examples of other companies that do something that G2A does, but they do it like, in check or, in the okay or in the good, then, maybe the fact that G2A gets so defensive and tries to, backtrack or figure out excuses as to why what they're doing is fine, should send up some red flags. I mean, again, there's other companies that do what G2A does, but works directly with developers and makes sure everything's on the up and up.
That's what makes sense to me. If they're getting stuff directly from the developer and the developer's not going through Steam for whatever reason, I mean, there's no way somebody's gonna buy something from G2A if it costs more than it would on Steam, right? So to me, it's just like G2A knows that people that are using it, like selling stuff,
that gray market competition is actually their advantage, and
Yep.
they want to keep that even if they don't want to say it out loud.
yeah,
Which
exactly.
is pretty much cemented by their response to what Tiny Build said, as we kind of hinted at earlier. You know, if you come across kind of like, you know, well, the onus is on you to like prove this, provide us with what I imagine is a pretty unfeasible thing to actually provide us with a completely arbitrary time limit associated with it, is basically like, you know, we acknowledge, at least implicitly, that what we're doing is not, I'm not going to say wrong, but is not like developer friendly, but we're just going to come over the top with a haymaker to kind of, you know, force you to prove it in an unreasonable time frame. Because this is why G2A makes money, basically. It's one of the reasons G2A makes money, at least.
Yeah.
And think about what that statement is then. It's sort of saying that they're not siding with developers if they're going to go against them in that way. It's sort of like a lawyer just bombing you with paperwork. They're making a statement that they're not interested in working with you. So that kind of clearly states what their allegiances are.
They're making too much money to do that. Really,
Yeah.
I think it's what it boils down to. Where they're too profitable where they are, it's going to take some changes, and I think some of those changes have to come from YouTubers and streamers that are partnered with them to maybe step back and be like, maybe I should support the people that allow me to do the job that I get to do. That's what drives me nuts too. You know, I mean, you get to do this as a living. Don't bite the hand that feeds in a way.
Well, I really despise the fact that people pretend to be YouTubers so they can get keys that they then resell.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's just
I assume
disgusting.
we've all had like developers reach out and be like, "Hey, just so you know, somebody named Blockly Smile has emailed me." And
It's well, I mean, yeah, that's the other thing. I don't like to like fire shots at other streamers too much, but the G2A thing is really annoying to me, especially because as like this industry has grown, there's been lots of opportunities for good sponsored content, like stuff where that the developers, the publishers are like, hey, it would be awesome if like you check this out, we've got a good deal. Chrono is like a really good example of a site that works with developers and provides sales to those developers that also give a little bit of a kickback to the people promoting it. G2A is like, you know, they're waving money around, which has been really appealing for a lot of people. But I personally thought there was a little bit of an ethical consideration that made it.
I think we all have.
Especially when you're also like emailing developers and being like, give me a code for your game. And then on your Twitter
codes.
profile, there's like a G2A like link there. And you're like, well, you're kind of biting both hands. But anyway, most of the time, I think you attribute it to ignorance instead of malice. They say, especially once other big streamers partner with G2A, they go, oh, well, they've got a G2A affiliate account. Why shouldn't I have a G2A affiliate account? And et cetera, et cetera.
Do you think it's sort of a responsibility that we should have to make this information as obvious as possible to people that are affiliates? Or is that just sort of like live and let live, let them do what they need to do for themselves?
That's a tough question. I feel like now though it's pretty fucking out in the open at this point.
Yeah, and coming short of like not saying start fights with people, but like should it be mentioned directly to people that like maybe you should really look into this more?
I mean, honestly, I don't give a shit. Like people can stream however they want to stream, and it doesn't bug me at all. It depends how much, like, what's your taste for drama? My taste for drama is
0.
like negative 1,000. So there's no way I'm gonna talk to somebody and be like, hey, I'd really like you to stop using G2A. Are you aware of this? Like, I got my own problems to deal with.
I mean,
and
if it's somebody like you work kind of directly with on a regular basis, maybe like, yo, there's probably a lot of people looking poorly on you, so maybe consider it, sort of thing. I'd say to that extent, but it's not like, I don't think we need to go to every corner of the internet and be like, please stop. I don't know you, but like G2A is bad.
No, yeah, There's already been instances, like if somebody approaches me and is like, hey, what do you think of this? I'll give you my opinion. And there's already been instances of other streamers and YouTubers being like, hey, I think I'm going to back out and not really worry about that, which is fine. But I'm not, like you said, I'm not going to go and like preach all over Twitter and be like, yeah, you should all stop with the G2A.
I really only mentioned it because I've seen a number of people legitimize being on it by the fact they said, well, this big streamer is on there, so like it's obviously okay. Like, no, that doesn't mean it's okay. It just means that they didn't necessarily vet it or they're fine with it. So
it's like with the big, boom, gold rush of all the different MCNs and stuff. Yeah. And when TGN was first coming out, it's like, people in our circles and such would be like, oh, what do you guys think about, this MCN or this one and that? And that's kind of like, well, avoid these guys. They give you a really poor rate or just like kind of they don't do shit all. I kind of think of it to the same extent as that. It's similar, yeah.
Fair enough.
Back when those lifetime contracts existed. Good Lord.
That should never be a thing again. I really hope it never is.
I don't think it will be. I think we're past that time in our lives where lifetime contracts exist. But I guess we'll see what happens, and it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next week with G2A. Are they going to be swept under the rug again, or will something actually happen? Ruka is really just
loving on Ryan right now.
He's like, Dad, I love you right now.
We had some fire alarm testing today, so he got a little scared.
Oh, that's adorable.
I had a marshmallow.
Very clingy.
Ryan also rubs fish oil on his...
that'll do it.
Yes. No, Maya, when we had a thunderstorm, it was really loud the other night. She doesn't cuddle. She runs and hides in, like, the corner of the room. It's really sad. Well, that'll bring us out of the G2A discussion and into the Nintendo NX discussion. Some rumors have been cropping up over the past few days about what the NX is actually going to be. But the biggest rumor that has been brought up is that the NX may be using cartridges again, which is interesting. Now, my initial reaction is like, really? They're going to put a game on a cartridge? That sounds really stupid. But it'd be more, my assumption would be more like a flash drive or something that the game would be on. Which, would it allow it to run faster? As a technological, like, idiot, I don't know what this means really for anything. So, those smarter than me, feel free.
I'm going to employ what I'm going to call the Northern Line principle. Okay. And that's, if you put the keywords of this query into Google, what is the reputation of the websites that come up first?
Well, I can't touch my internet right now because it'll fuck up the frames.
I'm not going to insult this website, but I will say that I'm unfamiliar with it. Nintendo NX to use cartridges as more evidence mounts. TechnoBuffalo.com is the number one source for this right now. Rumor from a month ago on IGN, which is reputable, but I think that probably I'll believe it when I see it. How many times is there like a bullshit belabored discussion in games over like, this company just filed a patent or this company just filed a trademark, and then it never ends up like mattering at all. So my basic mindset right now is I'll believe it when I see it.
Thinking from the perspective, if this is something they would do, I could maybe see some validity in it, right? We've actually in recent years seen a rise in vinyl and stuff, despite the ease of access to music through iTunes and Spotify and all this other mumbo jumbo. People kind of, get pretty nostalgic over music. I think it's very similar to video games, and it's like, can be a whole experience, the cartridge and stuff. Plus, I was thinking about it too, right? I mean, if you go and buy a new vinyl right now, most of them will have a little card in there with download codes, so you can get it digitally as well and stuff, so you don't have to worry about losing the cartridge or it breaking or something like that. And yeah, if it's flash based, like that shit's fast.
Yeah, so, I don't know if the vinyl is necessarily the appropriate metaphor there, because I mean, it's morphed from cartridges to flash media, meaning not optical. So it's not like flash media isn't fast, and it's just as current.
Yeah.
I just meant more from the nostalgic, like, pulling the vinyl out of the sleeve and stuff like that, right? It's like...
Yo, straight up put the flash media thing in an old, like, Nintendo-looking cartridge. Tell me old Nintendo-looking cartridges, but it's like, it's got the flash media in it.
That's what I was visualizing. And, you know, some people would eat that. I mean, I don't know. It's like we consume so much media these days, but it's still kind of nice sometimes. It's like your favorite book, you have a hard copy of it, or your favorite movies. And, you know, maybe there's a place for games in that. It's, yeah.
Well, I'm just thinking about the options, and like obviously everybody else is going with Blu-rays at this point, which is notably slow. You would think Flash Media would definitely be faster, which is not unreasonable. And then it's really just about
too.
Well, that's the thing, is that I'm not sure if it's cheaper, but it's gotten cheaper certainly since the last iteration of consoles. But are we now at a point where it's reasonable to assume that that would kind of cancel out the slow problem? Maybe. I know I have a Vita, and it's cartridge-based or Flash Media-based, and it's still pretty slow in terms of loading.
Yeah.
So that could also be because of the way it's processed and loaded into memory. So I don't have the specs here or the knowledge. You'd probably need Rumble Muffin for that.
I mean,
I'm sort of the position where I don't really care what the physical format of
there's that too.
The next generation is. I'm like, Nintendo, just put like a big hard drive in it for once. And then let me download like all the shit that I want to download. Like,
you know,
that
be
is
like current technology, please.
Right. I mean, there's problems. Like, Sony does it, but there's problems with it. It takes forever to install a game. At least for me, it does. And then after you download it, it literally, the bar is at 100%. You play the game, and then it's like you've actually only got like 40%, but you can play like exhibition mode while the rest of the game downloads, or you can play the prologue while the rest of the game downloads.
Now.
It's pretty frustrating.
Yeah.
I don't remember if it was like that on Xbox One, but I do remember The Witcher 3 taking forever to download. Excuse me, Kat, you're causing problems now. But yeah, I mean, I hope that their digital store is a little bit better. But yeah, sure, cartridges, if they load faster, that's cool. I've never really had much of a problem, at least with the way that Wii U games are made, with like Wii U loading times. But maybe I'm just misremembering because it's been a year and a half since I played Mario Kart 8.
The other couple weekends ago, I was at my brother's place. He's got a PS4, but I mean, well, Ryan's been there before. He lives out in fucking on a creek. He's got satellite internet, I'll put it that way. So we went into town because my cousin was also there. We wanted to play a game we could all kind of play together or take turns. And they decided, you know, the newest Nazi zombies on Call of Duty. So we buy the disc, get home, put it in. We're like, all right, let's go, let's do this. And it's like, all right, you got to update first. I'm like, whatever. It's like probably 100 megabytes away. 11 gigabytes.
It's always huge, I know.
11 gigabytes. And we're like, and it actually, if we had to try to download it, it was going to take 40 hours. The weekend would have been done, and we wouldn't have gotten to play it because the stuff we could have played by default on the disc was just the single player Nazi zombies and whatever campaign thing. So he ended up returning it. But like, I'm thinking too, if they did go something like Flash-based media, you know, it's got a much smaller footprint. So even if you had a cartridge, you could theoretically fit more Flash.
And it's quieter too if you care about that.
Yeah. You don't have to worry about moving parts and
or walking through your room and scratching discs like the 360. Hopefully that'll never be a thing in any other system again.
Remember that?
Blu-rays
Don't
are a lot
move
more
your
durable.
system. You will just burn a ring into your
So
CD.
many people, when I was at GameStop, I had to sell them, like, if they brought in games all the time with Circle Scratch, like, guys, you got to buy the GPG, man. Like, you're going to need this. I promise you. Apparently, you've got children, or you don't know how to not walk through your room when the game's going, or you knock over your 360.
The amount of things that you had to tell somebody buying a 360 back then, like, don't stand it up when you play a game. Don't walk through your room when you play a game. Don't
give it adequate ventilation.
Don't move your system if the system is on and there's a CD in there. If it gets the red ring of death, you might be able to wrap it in some towels and like overheat it overnight and like
bake it in the oven.
Yeah, but don't like actually do that.
Dude, I saw
the oven thing works.
I know it works, but don't do it.
No, it's a terrible idea.
There was this kid, he was trying to do that with his laptop, but his friend was telling him to put it in the microwave.
Oh, God.
And he's like, it won't fit. It won't fit.
There was like a minor internet trolling sensation where there was like an article that was like, if your phone battery is dead, if you put it in the microwave for a minute, it'll charge it from 0 to 100. And then people were like, okay, this is the iPhone battery challenge. What do we do? I'll just put it in the microwave. And then they'd like turn it on and it would be cool for like half a second. And then it's just like, and they're like, oh, turn it up! But it's already totally fucked.
There was like a viral thing on Facebook too where they were claiming some new iPhone had waterproof cases and they were trying to get people to drop their phone into a glass of water to test it.
Why?
I think they needed to get like a firmware update, and they were claiming that if you downloaded this file, that your iPhone would become waterproof, which is great thinking.
Oh, people are so stupid.
Does wrapping your console in towels and baking it void the warranty? If you tell them,
Yeah, don't tell us
then
you did that.
Yes.
There's telltale signs.
Of it being baked?
Yeah.
What is a delicious smell?
If it's got little burn marks.
Well, you shouldn't put it on that. You shouldn't broil it.
You bake it, right? You don't
Braise it.
broil.
What was it that fixed it? It would because as far as I
It would
understood
remelt the solder
Yeah, that's what I
around
say.
the
It would
GPU and
okay.
reseat it properly.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Because the GPU in the original Xbox 360 was like terribly soldered and it just would pop off. It was awful.
Yeah, we broke a 360 playing Rock Band. One of my friends, who shall not be named, pulled on the guitar and then dropped it right on the face
Malf,
of the
honestly,
console.
Malf, if you didn't do anything, I would have been like, that could be anybody.
It wasn't him.
Oh, okay.
No, I know this guy.
Oh, okay.
I think I would. Yeah, it's frustrating.
Well, I'm for the NX to finish up that conversation. I'm just eager for Nintendo to come out with what the fucking system is, because they've already like said it's happening. They've already said like the new Zelda will be the same experience on both systems. Like it exists. We know it's going to exist. So just tell us what the system's going to be. I want to know what we're looking into buying again, or if I'm just going to ignore it and just keep my Wii U as like my main console. I want to just know.
Yeah. I thought I made this great observation seeing the gameplay footage and watched like 4 hours of Zelda, and I was thinking, there's no obvious gimmick here, like as far as controls or weird mechanisms. So I was thinking, if this is the same experience across Wii U and also NX, does that mean that NX might be more of a traditional console?
I hope
That seemed
so.
like an obvious assumption to make, and then Rob reminded me, of course, that there's still motion controls, so we're still going to have some sort of motion sensing gyroscopic BS in it.
Are they mandatory motion controls?
I don't know.
Because, I mean, if they're optional, then we still have a chance that there's not going to
I
be
guess
a game.
neither of you guys got to try it while you were at E3, huh?
No, I wasn't waiting in a 6-hour line.
Yeah, I didn't know how long.
There's a funny story about that I've been hestant to tell, but I think is funny enough that any sensitivity for it is overruled.
Okay.
We tried to get an appointment for it, and we were told it's too busy. Like we're booked up. Later, we were told by someone that my manager is close to that is in Nintendo PR that actually like there was space, but they're familiar with Kate and myself, and they felt like our level of profanity was not on brand for a Nintendo product that's rated E for everyone.
You're too M-rated for Nintendo.
Basically. And that is their right, as silly as I think that is, because once the game comes out, I can take a picture of my dick draped over the box, like, and then there's nothing they can do about it. But yeah,
how's this for E-rated, Nintendo?
they opted not to make room for us to have an appointment at E3 because we curse. A little too edgy for Nintendo.
We got to bring this podcast
Photoshop
down
your
to
dick into an E
G-rated.
for everyone.
So starting immediately, we will not be cursing.
You are family friendly. You also are announcing your partnership with Nintendo.
Yeah, I'm going to be joining the Nintendo Content Creator Program.
Oh man,
I
they
mean,
make the big bucks.
I was say financially it's a downgrade, but you get exclusives to all their Nintendo stuff.
And no other YouTubers are willing to do it, so think of it that way.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, I know.
As we found out at E3, you would be surprised.
I know.
Well, that leads us into E3 again, because we're going to talk about E3 again. I know you guys talked about it last week, but me and
That was
Ryan,
the whole show.
Yeah, well, we're not going to make it the whole show this time, but me and Ryan were at E3. I think I'd like to talk about it a little bit and the experience of E3 itself, and the stuff that we got to play and what we got to see. And right away, the first thing I want to see is E3 was nothing like I was going to expect it to be. It was a very different experience that was really weird in a lot of ways, but really cool in other ways. The mix of the kind of people that were at E3 was very surprising, I think is one thing I wanted to say. It was a mix of like business suits and suitcases and people talking like production and deals at tables over lunch, and then the person wearing the cat hat with the Persona 5 bag and all the free swag they got, like standing next to them talking about how they can't wait for Persona 5. It was a really strange mix of people. And this was the first year YouTubers and Twitch people were like invited to go. It was interesting. And mass, yeah. E3 apparently according to some articles, this was like the most disjointed E3 that's happened, but I wouldn't know because I didn't. But Ryan, what are your thoughts on actually going to E3 before I talk some more?
Yeah, I mean, speaking from the perspective of a YouTuber or streamer, it's a really good event to be at if you want to play a lot of games. So as opposed to something like PAX, where, not that I'm complaining, but you do spend a lot of time like being recognized, and it's tough to get from like appointment to appointment because people will stop you on the way, which is cool. And if you see me at a PAX, you should definitely do that if you want to. But at E3, like most of the people that are there are already in the business. They're there to do businessy stuff. So we really got to efficiently play a whole heck of a lot of games, and games that basically were announced at E3, which is really cool. Like most of the time you don't go to PAX and then you're like, there's an unannounced big game that I have an appointment for. So at E3, we had a bunch of stuff on our schedule that was like unannounced CD Projekt Red game, which ended up being Gwent, and then like unannounced Deep Silver game, which ended up being Agents of Mayhem.
Agents of Mayhem, yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that really was being seen and played for the first time that was really cool. So I would definitely do E3 again if they'll have us next year. Unlike PAX, there's also a lot of room to move, at least until the other 15,000 streamers hear the stories of what the streamers had like good times at E3 this year, and then they come next year and it's all just crowded with assholes like us. But at least this year there was plenty of elbow room to move around.
Yeah, it was. Well, I'm actually interested to see what's going to end up happening next year with E3, because this year there was the E3's first attempt at doing like a public thing with E3 Live outside. It was like the first step into being like, all right, we're going to open E3 out into the public and see what that does. But it's weird in that they want to kind of do that, but at the same time, they want to maintain it being like a very like business trade show for people within the industry. So they kind of have these both things going on where PAX exists. And like you said, PAX for me is more of a fan event, I guess. You go to just hang out, have fun, see your friends, meet fans. Like that's what PAX is all about for me. While E3, like it was probably the most productive I've ever been at a convention, just like appointment after appointment after appointment after appointment. But if they are going towards that more public route, I'm curious what they're going to end up doing. I don't necessarily see them doing like a PAX thing, maybe more like a Gamescom thing, where like the first couple of days is, you know, business people only, and then the next couple of days is open to the public where everybody can come in and play a bunch of games. But it was really interesting seeing the booths at PAX because it was like freaking Disneyland compared, not at PAX, at E3. Because it was like Disneyland comparatively. Like they went all out. It's like all out. It's crazy looking there. The one that keeps coming to mind is a 2K booth. It looked like a building straight out of 1960s New Orleans with like a live band and shit playing. And I understand E3 is all about the hype and it's there to make you excited about a game, even if the game isn't necessarily that good. But it is a hell of an experience walking through these halls and just seeing these massive booths and all this stuff going on. It was really
it's pretty crazy. Like at PAX, sometimes you'll have a demo and they'll be like, come into our back room. And then they open like a wall and there's two chairs and like a TV in there. The E3, they were like, hey, it looks like you got an appointment for 11. Follow us. And then you walk for like 100 paces into the interior of their booth, which is like an actual construction site, basically like a building with like people eating inside of the booth and like... Yeah, like balconies and stuff like that. This is actually pretty fucking crazy.
Even the smallest booths, like Telltale's Batman booth, when you like, it's in this like this cubicle office center, and then you go into their cubicle and it's redecorated completely. It looks like a library. There's a dude that looks like supposed to be like Alfred, like serving drinks to everybody who comes in. And you pull a book and the wall opens up and you go into their little movie theater where they show off the Batman Telltale game. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
is this really necessary? Is this amount of money being spent on bullshit that has nothing to do with the game? Why is this a thing?
They're
Because
E3 is a media event. You gotta,
I know, but
pamper
it's
the
so
media.
excessive.
So
They're just flaunting it now.
You know, there were other
very
booths that I went to. If I was a writer, I'm writing about the Telltale Batman booth and being like, hey, I don't know how the game is, but that's fucking sick. Whereas, you know, some booths you went into and it's just like a cubicle with like a couch and then the dude just plays a video and talks to you, which was also fine. And some of those games
My favorite
amazing.
game of E3 was like one of those experiences, which we'll talk
Ukulele?
about. Yeah, Ukulele was my favorite game at E3. Yes?
Did either of you guys play Mafia 3?
No, they. As far as I know, they just had a like a video presentation.
Yes.
But that might be like they just had a video presentation for us, whereas behind the scenes they had maybe some playable hands-on stuff.
So
but I'm not sure.
I saw that 30-minute video presentation, and go ahead, Malf. What's up?
I was just gonna say I saw the other day I was looking up gameplay stuff on YouTube, and I saw there's like some big YouTuber guy had like exclusive, let's play kind of stuff where I didn't know if that still stood or if they were gonna have something playable to the
What was
media.
what was the let's play stuff? Was it like him on a boat at one point and like?
Yeah, I think that was that him? No. That was a developer was doing that.
That's the stuff
that I saw. Yeah, I'd have to go back. I can't even remember the name of the guy, but I just thought it was interesting that they flew him out, and then he did like a hour-long video or 2-hour-long video.
Okay.
Of different stuff he did.
I mean, talk about Mafia 3 just briefly, because it was another one of the games that I enjoyed seeing the 30-minute presentation for, at least, because it did show a lot of gameplay, but I understand it's a vertical slice of the gameplay and tailored in a way that's supposed to be exciting. But from what I saw and what they're trying to do with Mafia 3 has me very excited, because back in the PS2 days, I really enjoyed Godfather, even though it was a terrible game. Like, I understand it was a bad game, but I enjoyed the idea of like being a grunt and then creating your own mafia and having underbosses and splitting up territory and just gaining power. And Mafia 3 is doing that, which is interesting because you're going to have underbosses that you're divvying up territory to as you gain it. And what's interesting is like if you end up favoring one particular underboss more territory than another, that other one will start fighting and then they'll break away and then you have to like go deal with them and kill them and like you kind of have to have this delicate balance of your own crime organization while also dealing with the story at large. It's really cool.
Sounds like Shadows of Mordor.
Yeah, but the underbosses themselves are like script character written. They're not like randomly generated. Once you lose an
I want
underboss,
procedurally generated mob bosses.
that'd be cool.
I was promised more Nemesis systems.
I know.
We were told by 2016 every game was going to have a Nemesis system.
Yep.
Where's our Nemesis system?
I think that was Bear that told us that, wasn't it?
God damn it, Bear. Lion son of a bitch. But from what I saw, I guess one of the biggest problems with Mafia 2 is that the open world was like dead and empty, and there was like no point to the open world in Mafia 2 outside of like some collectibles. But Mafia 3 looks like it's gonna be doing a lot to kind of fix that issue. Yeah. It looked good.
I know a lot of people have been saying, it's a bit of a departure from, Mafia 1 and Mafia 2. Or it's too close to GTA, but like honestly, I remember, even playing Mafia 1, and it was very similar to GTA in many similarities, but I always kind of thought of it as a slightly more realistic. Like that's what made me love Mafia. One of the reasons, other than like amazing story and soundtrack and so on and so forth, but like. You'd shoot a car where the gas tank would be, it didn't like blow up. The gas would actually leak out. You'd go back to a gas station, fill it up, all this other stuff. It was kind of nice, but it still shared a lot of stuff with GTA. So I don't think it's really a departure in that respect. And then other people are also saying, well, it's not the Mafia, dude, but really it's organized crime. It's fine. One of the underbosses is the main character from Mafia 2, right?
That's cool.
Yeah, the old what's his face, the sexy, he's gray haired now, but He's Italian, and it'll be interesting. My biggest kind of like thing I want to see how people react to is, I guess they're going full force with like the racism of the time and the slang and all that stuff that was used, back in 60s New Orleans in this world. So it'll be interesting to see how people kind of react to that, if they can just, be mature, I guess, because they're trying to show people what life was like back then to an extent.
Yeah.
If you were in organized crime, I guess.
No, it looked great. I mean, Ryan would have known it looked great too, but he was off playing Civ 6 at the time.
I got pulled out of the audience.
How was Civ 6, Ryan?
I don't know what. Like, I signed something before I started playing it, so I don't really know how much I could talk about it.
All right, never mind. I didn't know you
I was kind of
like...
I was like, so, like, can I talk about it? And they're like, yeah, but you can't talk about, like, these 6 specific things. And then I looked at it, and I was like, I don't really know what any of these are. So I'm just not really going to talk about it then, if that's okay.
You're free to play the game. Just don't show any of these 65 cutscenes, which will be randomly popping up at various times.
There's a lot of that during presentations. Like, the embargo to talk about this game is this date. Or the embargo to show this is this date. Or no recording any video, audio, or pictures taken during this trailer. I was like, damn.
But I had a good time with Civ 6. It feels, from memory at least, it's been 3 years or 4 years since I played Civ 5, but it feels a lot like Civ 5, but it doesn't feel bad. Like, if that makes, I don't know what people want out of Civ, because I'm like a casual Civ player. So I'm really not the right person to even talk about it. But if you're the kind of person who's like, once every 2 years, I play like 100 hours of Civ and can't get enough, this seems like it could pretty easily scratch the same itch. But also, they flattered me in a way that almost patronized me. Because I dealt with the barbarian camp, and they're like, whoa, seems like you've played this before. And I was like, you just send 2 units instead of 1. That's the secret. You got all the time in the world to prepare.
You killed the barbarians? What?
It was only like 20 minutes, so I really only had a chance to set up like a second city and then conquer like 1 barbarian camp. And they're like, any questions? And I'm like, nah, dog. Like, I've played the first 50 years of a Civ campaign like 1,000 times. So I'm good for now. But I'm like, there's nothing I played that was like, this makes me not excited for it. And I know that one thing a lot of people were concerned about was like, the aesthetic looks a little bit more like cartoony Age of Empires online-y, but I didn't really notice that. I thought it looked like totally fine.
It's weird that with Civ, a game like Civ, they only give you like 20 minutes. I feel like with Civ, you need like an hour minimum to really see or feel the changes.
Which they did do a Civ 6 like hands-on event that people like Quill went to, but we didn't go to it because I think because E3 was coming up. I can't remember.
A lot of traveling was happening at that time. What were your... Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, send me on your behalf.
You could, I guess.
Hi, I'm sending my representative to play for me. What was your favorite game of E3, Ryan? That you played, hands-on.
Well, okay. I'm gonna choose 2.
All right,
I'm gonna
say
that
the same, so.
I'm really excited for Gwent, actually.
Yes,
and
me too.
I think Gwent has a cool multiplayer CCG component, and the fact that they've wrapped it in an adventure RPG, the Banner Saga style thing is really cool. I think it's going to elevate it beyond just being like a Hearthstone knockoff, which is important. And then I would say Absolver looks super cool. The hand-to-hand martial arts fighting game / RPG from Devolver Digital. That looks neat. And the fact that you can play it in co-op, but also if you ever get pissed off with your friend, you could just punch him in the head and take all his stuff was cool. And the fighting system really seemed like, you know how people were like... Xenoclash, the game where you first person like fist fighting game.
Yeah. They made 2 of those, didn't they?
Yes.
Second one bombed like crazy. First one had a cult following.
Okay.
Yes, and I think that Absolver has the potential to be like that, but instead of a cult following, actually make it like a little bit more mainstream. Yeah, a little bit more legitimate, I guess. Not to be rude. I didn't really like Xenoclash, or at least Xenoclash 2.
It wasn't that good.
Yeah, Xenoclash 2 I disliked a lot, actually. But great art direction. But in Absolver, it was like the combat worked really fluidly, and it was elegance. Like, instead of just being like a button masher, there really was like a little bit of weight and consequence to each button press, even though the combos are really accessible and they're really just like, XXY or XXB. It worked really well, and I think they've got a really cool tone going with it as well, which will serve them well. But we'll see when it actually comes out.
I know Absolver is all about like this melee fighting system, but what's the core gameplay loop? Like, what are we looking like? What are you going to be doing?
You run around with your friend or by yourself.
Okay.
You'll encounter enemies. They get into fighting stance, and then it's basically like an elegant beat 'em up. So instead of just being like, they drop their guard, punch, 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 they fall on the ground, you grab a garbage can and smash it over their head.
Okay.
It's like you see them come in and you try to parry or block, but you can parry in the direction that the attack comes in, which is kind of difficult to tell in 3D space. Like you can only parry left or right, but you have to like look at their animation and be like, okay, that looks like a kick coming to my left. You parry it and then you like combo back yourself. And the combos can have things like guard breaks, and they also have like a height associated with them. So you can almost have like a little rock, paper, scissors. Like if he goes for a high kick and I go for a low kick, we actually won't collide at all. We'll just like swing around one another and then come back. But it's all in real time. So it's not like you program the move and then it executes simultaneously.
So is it like a set story, or is it going to like a randomly generated level every time you play?
I don't know, actually, but one thing that they've harped a lot on is that it's online. So It really is almost like I don't want to say MMO-y, but I kind of mean it like that. Like it seems like it's a living world where you can like dynamically meet people and then maybe grab quests from there and go out with them. But I don't know if it's an MMO or if you'll be hosting a lobby with like 4 people or something like that, which could be different. But we didn't really see that. We were just playing the local. But another thing that's cool, even though it's like a gimmicky thing, is that to learn moves, you can learn them like through the environment. But if your friend has like a cool move, you can also be like, hey, just demo that on me like 10 times. And every time he demos it on you, you'll get knowledge of the move, and then he can actually teach it to you that way, like experientially, which is pretty neat.
Interesting.
Yo, we should do machinima of like Neo and Morpheus or something.
Definitely the strike while the iron's hot. A Matrix machinima.
Absolutely, the time is right. I'm ready for
Remember Max Payne was all about the Matrix mod?
That is correct.
The lobby being shot up was the shit back then.
Man. Simpler times for simpler people. Maya, stop
How about you, Mathis?
So my 2 favorite games were Gwent, like you. I walked away with Gwent, like super excited for that game. To go a little bit more in detail, in case anybody doesn't really know what Gwent's going to be like, it's the card game from The Witcher 3, but made as a separate game, completely rebalanced from the ground up. The card, the art, the board, all looks fantastic. And the balancing that they've gone through to make sure that the same shit in Witcher 3 doesn't happen in this game is impressive. But what I was most excited about is the single-player stuff that they're layering on top of it. So I think they said it's like the first single-player story is going to be like 8 hours or something ridiculous. And it's going to be a top-down, semi-open world exploration thing, following a main story, and then side stuff you can go and do and explore. And when you run into an enemy, instead of doing like real-time combat, you just play Gwent against the enemy instead. But it's all fully voice acted, and the art style looks like kind of like Darkest Dungeon in the way it animates, but with a banner saga kind of colorful, more lighthearted, I guess, tone to it. And the quest itself all has the same Witcher 3 thing, where if you make one choice, the story will go this way, where if you make another choice, the story will go that way. So that same RPG choice element is layered on top of the single player story. And they said they're going to be replacing all these side stories as well as the game goes through, its years or whatever. They're going to do more and more side stories on top of the game. And the game looks great. I can't wait to play more of it. I'm really excited for it. But my number 1 game is Yooka-Laylee. So, Yooka-Laylee, I got to sit down with before. You guys are memeing up chat? Is that what's happening right now? Is just memeing up chat? Yes, you're memeing up chat.
What are you talking about?
Yooka-Laylee was great. Yooka-Laylee was my absolute favorite game of E3. I got to sit down and watch it be played for like 30 minutes, 40 minutes. I had the luxury of having Grant Kirkhope stand there while I got to watch it play, which was kind of surreal. He was a cool dude. But really, Yooka-Laylee looks like what you just palette swap Banjo-Kazooie with the ukulele and it's Banjo 3. Like, that's exactly what this game is. It looks like, it sounds like, it plays like Banjo 3, with some modern design elements kind of thrown in, specifically the idea of player choice being something that you kind of keep. And I don't mean player choice in that, like, Witcher 3 style where you make a quest choice and the story branches. But if you go into a level and you play through that level once, you collect like one of the missing pages, which act like the jigsaw puzzles in this game, and you hated the level, you don't ever have to go back to the level again. If you go into that level and do it, and then you decide you love that level, you can take those missing pages, and each level is a storybook, and you can put those missing pages into that storybook, and the next time you go into that level, the level has expanded and become bigger with more challenges and all kinds of stuff to do.
Now, is he trying to tell me you have more player autonomy in that than in Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, where you could literally build a vehicle out of anything you want?
Listen, Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, I didn't play. So, I hear it was terrible. I never played it.
I did play it, and it was garbage.
All right, then. So, there you go.
I just had to interject, because I want to talk sometimes.
No, please, feel free. I'm going off. I'm aware. I really enjoyed the hell out of Ukulele, though. It was awesome.
Yeah, world needs more 3D platformers. I'm down.
Stop memeing up chat.
So Ukulele looked really good. I agree.
Did you guys think the Sony conference crushed? Like, just totally beat ass?
Yes.
Spank me, daddy?
I think that as far as big, like, AAA conferences go, they pretty much nailed it by not talking about, like, their corporate direction and instead pretty much just getting off the stage and playing trailers, which, I mean, I'll admit, like, there's a little tiny nick in my ear at times where I was like, I really just not give a shit about the rest of this God of War demo, which is probably, I might be in the minority, but I was like, okay, I've already seen half of this stuff. We threw his axe, the whole audience was like, whoa! Damn, it's like, it's not that big of a deal. And then,
they did
similarly,
a incline.
a lot of people were actually like, I'm not into Call of Duty, but that Infinite Warfare trailer looked really cool. And I was like, I'm kind of like okay with Call of Duty. And I thought it just looked fairly boring,
I
honestly.
also thought it looked boring, and Bear was flipping out about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
I was like, the space stuff, I was like, that's kind of cool, but it'll get old. Like, if it's seriously just like set piece, wave-based combat, depressurize, and then like he was just constantly like blowing holes in the ship, and I was like, come on, man, that's just disrespectful. The space station is like $1 trillion, but and then when he got actually into the combat, I was like, this is Call of Duty. Like, he's in space, he's running up staircases and shooting dudes point blank in the chest, but everything else, I was like, this is really what I think you want a AAA conference to be, honestly.
Spider-Man. I want it.
The Spider-Man reveal was really cool, and the Death Stranding trailer was really cool, even though we know nothing about what it's about.
We don't know what that is.
But you got to be like, I think you
Looks
can't
wild.
like watch the conference. As much as I thought that I would be like this, you can't really watch the conference and then be like, well, they didn't show much live gameplay, because that's like not what it's there for. But
that's true.
If like, it's really for big like course announcement and hype level stuff. So it was cool to be there. I will say that like Days Gone, I do not think looks very good.
That's a zombie game, right?
Yeah, the Sons of Anarchy
Middling.
zombie.
No, but it's
I'll
not
play it.
zombies. They're Twitchers, okay?
Right, yeah.
They're freakers, actually.
Freakers.
I was like, it's
Freakers.
really impressive, actually, like the way that the freakers run and move is kind of like almost as if they're a fluid or something like
World
that.
War Z
Like,
style.
that was neat, but I was also like, man, like I could not give less of a shit about another pseudo zombie game. If it's awesome, then awesome. But also, he's running around in this barn, and there's literally like 100,000 zombies chasing him. And every once in a while, he like turns around and shoots like 30 times. Are you gonna kill 100,000 of them?
He
What,
did
this
by
is
the
gonna
end of the
take you
demo.
years.
Yo, think about this from a practical standpoint. You shoot 30 of them, you build up a little body wall, and it slows down the others.
I
It's
mean,
like,
maybe.
He also said they're not zombies, they're just like real people, so you can shoot them and they'll die.
Excuse me, they're freakers.
I said they're not zombies, they're freakers. Not zombies. Be clear.
Sorry.
But it, I don't know. That was like, they're like, oh, wait, we're going to close out the demo with some live gameplay of one of the games that got revealed tonight. And everyone's like, man, I hope it's not Call of Duty or Days Gone. And then it was Days Gone. But, I mean, it looks like a big game, which is fine.
So, I didn't... Doing anything that, like, Dead Rising hasn't done? I mean, Dead Rising did that whole, like, loads of zombies.
It's the zombies are a little bit more like a swarm instead of like individual dummies. And also it has a much different tone. Like it's got much less of like a comic bend to it. It seems like it's played pretty straight.
To be fair though, Dead Rising 3 took away most of that atmosphere anyway. So honestly, I don't think there's much to this game that differentiates itself from ground already covered recently. Still, I'll probably play it. I don't know.
One thing I was excited for that I didn't totally expect to be is I think that Detroit looks pretty cool.
God damn it. Listen, I don't want to play another David Cage game, but I'm gonna. And that's a problem with me, really. David Cage games are terrible. It
looks really cool. I think you've got to at least, if you stack it up.
But Beyond Two Souls looked cool.
But if you stack it up with like Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, not to be like, oh, does anybody else Call of Duty is blah blah, you know, but I would rather play like this bad ambitious game than like a competent game that's been done 100 times before. I think
David Cage games follow the same formula. The first 2/3 of the game is interesting and like has you questioning what's going on, and then the last third you end up in an ocean in front of a ghost portal wondering what the hell the secret French government was doing, because that was Beyond Two Souls.
Just do what I do and stop at the end of the 5th season of Lost. All right, just go to the 2/3 and then quit.
Oh, God.
I feel like we've been through the same cycle. It's sort of like the Sonic cycle at this point with David Cage games. They're always kind of the same bunch of promises, and then we end up with sort of the same game
you
with
will
a different
feel
skin
emotions.
On it. I mean, do you really think it's going to have meaningful endings the way they showed in that demo? There was like a branching set of paths with 15 different ends.
I haven't had my first-hand David Cage disappointment yet.
Play any of his games.
It's like
You're well overdue then.
You guys have already been tricked into intercourse by the high school quarterback, and you're like, he's not really a good lay. And I'm like, I know. You keep telling me that, but I've got to find out for myself.
God, I remember playing I played Indigo Prophecy like 3 times through, and the last like 30 minutes of that game, I'm always like, what the fuck was going on in this guy's head? Where the purple clan and the orange clan aliens and like this all shows up, and you're Neo from the Matrix and you're dead but not alive. And it's just like, what the fuck? Like, what was the point? I don't understand. But the thing is, I'm gonna play his new game and it's gonna be terrible, and I'll hate myself after, but I'll play it.
I want you to remember,
Probably
if it comes out and everybody's raving about it, that I am the peninsula standing up to the tidal wave that is still saying that I know all this, but it looks pretty good.
Play one of his other games.
I need to qualify. I don't think it's going to be terrible. It's just going to be sort of the same cycle again.
Yeah, that's what I think so too. Like the first 2/3 will be good.
It'll be adequate.
And then it'll be like, what the fuck?
You didn't like
seem ambitious and be interesting, and that'll be about it.
You didn't like Heavy Rain?
Heavy Rain. My issue with Heavy Rain isn't that the end of it goes nuts. In a way, it does. The problem with Heavy Rain is that it's a mystery that they should be leaving clues so you can deduce what the hell's going on, or at least attempt to. But they purposely misdirect you to make sure you never guess who the actual killer is. So when they reveal it, they're like, haha, gotcha. It's like, well, yeah, you got me, because you did everything in your power as a game.
The game was rigged.
To direct me away from the killer.
I do hate it when all types of media do that. It's like, it's the opposite of dramatic irony, right? Where they're doing everything they can to like cut out bits of the narrative that you would normally see, just so they can surprise you at the end.
Like, they straight up introduce plot holes into this game to make you think that this guy, the origami killer, is like you because you wake up with the origami on your chest, and they never explain why you were passing out and waking up with origami pieces on your chest. That never gets explained. You're like, what the hell? They introduced that so you're like, oh my god, maybe he is the killer. Maybe he like has a split personality, which would have been a much better explanation than what the actual reason was.
So that's the problem, is that the writing never matches the ambition level of the production value. And
Yeah,
if those
the
two
writing
could
is
be
awful.
equal to each other, then maybe this really would be as special as they always are made out to be.
It's like he wants to be. It's like he wants to make Hollywood films, but no. Everybody looks at his scripts and go, "What the fuck is this shit?" So they make a video game out of it.
David Cage is like the only guy making these. So I think there's like an adequate reason to be interested. Like, to me, this looks like an emotional sort of Deus Ex, or like a Remember Me with the boring like character action bits sort of removed. So I think I wouldn't say I'm excited, but I am at least hesitantly looking forward to it. Like when reviews drop for it, or when they're like, hey, this game comes out next week, I'm not going to be like, who cares? I'm going to be like, all right, I'm going to pay attention to this. And if it's sick, then that's awesome. I'm kind of hoping that it ends up being like an Until Dawn situation, where it's sort of, people have muted expectations, and then when it comes out, they're like, this is amazing. But who knows? We only saw the trailer that they cut, and of course they're always going to show like
I'm
the
going
best
off of
part
like
of
his past like 4 or 5 games. I mean, Omicron was like the same way, which was his first game.
I feel like Until Dawn might have been a better David Cage game than any of the David Cage games that have come out.
Until Dawn was excellent. I
actually quite liked it. It was kind of a throwaway story, but at the same time, it did keep your attention the whole way through, which is not easy these days.
Yeah, I'm not going to spoil Until Dawn, because Until Dawn is still relatively new. There were only a very couple points where I was like, really? Like, that happened, but it doesn't make any sense that happened. But for the most part, like, Until Dawn was really, really
It was like a very long horror movie that was interesting the whole way through.
Yep, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great.
Should we do our requisite, 5 minutes of VR talk now that
I bought a Vive?
Oh, you bought a Vive? Holy shit.
Yeah.
That came out of nowhere.
I did it a couple days ago, so it's not here yet.
And he did mention it in Skype.
Why? I did not see that. Congrats, man.
Vive has impressed me to the point where I want to own it. And
we're going to play some Pool Nation VR together.
Can you do it online?
Yeah, man.
Nice.
Throw bottles at each other and pretend to drink beer and play darts. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I understand there's no like killer apps for like any VR system right now, but the technology itself, having played the Vive multiple times now, I'd walk away going, yeah, I want that in my house. Like, I want to own that.
Sick. I'm excited.
I was watching Hot Tub Time Machine 2 the other night.
Hot Dog Time Machine.
And they have a scene where they're like on a game show, and they've got like a VR type thing on, and they have sex with each other.
Okay, yeah.
Would you guys have virtual sex with each other?
As long as he looks like the girl in VR, I'm in.
No, I would not do that.
No, there was VR porn at E3 though.
That's what I was actually gonna lead up my question to, honestly.
No, I didn't want to put one of those headsets on my face. I'm good.
Did you guys obviously tried VR there? Were you not concerned about pink eye? Apparently, like, some dude with pink eye at PAX, like, infected other people.
I did not actually have any VR at
I
E3.
believe that there will be stories like that, especially as more and more VR stations open up. But I mean, all I tried was PSVR. When I got to try that twice after the Sony conference, and then for Resident Evil 7, and if I may draw coarse comparisons, it's like $300 cheaper than Vive. It feels markedly cheaper than Vive, which is both good and bad. Like, when you put the Vive headset on, you're like, I have a piece of machinery strapped to my head. Like, it's like at least 3 or 4 pounds. And the Sony one is much lighter, but it also feels a little cheaper. Like, instead of having the straps on both sides, it just has like a little plastic knob that you turn to tighten it. And it didn't feel like as immersive. I was doing like seated experiences with it. And I will say as well, the Resident Evil 7 demo was a little motion sickness inducing. It was running at like 60 FPS. But I think part of that might be because it was seated and I was using a controller as well. But I played like another game where basically they kick soccer balls at you and then you head them into the goal. And felt okay. It felt like it was mapping or was tracking my actual head movements.
Did you feel the vibration on your face?
No, and that's actually where I was like,
off.
this is what the Vive need, or this is why this would be better on Vive, because you'd be holding the controllers, and then when it hit you on the head, you would have like a little shake. Instead, I like braced myself to feel the vibrations, and it was just nothing. And I was like, oh, this kind of takes me out of it a little bit. But it was like a cool proof of concept. It's like Wii bowling or something like that. And then Resident Evil 7 was good, but it would be nice if it ran at 90, which could be possible. And again, it's a demo, so who knows like if it's representative of what it's actually going to be. But it seems like if you want to buy into VR, this could be a good option. It's accessible. We saw there were like 16 games at the Sony conference that were playable.
It was like a Final Fantasy 15 one.
There was Final Fantasy 15, but they wasn't there at the time.
Oh, the VR version of it wasn't?
Yeah. Okay. And they said there's going to be like 50 games or something, but there were 16 at E3. It's cheaper, and if you already own a PS4, the buy-in cost is pretty low relative to a Vive or an Oculus for that matter. So, I mean, I came away being like, we'll probably get one, and then, dip our toes in the water and see how it works. But
yeah.
It wasn't as impressive as the Vive for sure, but it was cheaper than the Vive, and maybe a reasonable facsimile. Plus, a lot of software.
RE7? Sorry.
Did I?
Yeah, I was just curious.
I did.
Okay, so who in this room thinks that RE7 is the end of Resident Evil as a series? Because there are actually people that hold that opinion.
No, not at all. I think this is a revitalization of it.
Yes!
I think if Resident Evil was going to die, it would have been because of 6.
Yes, exactly.
6 was awful.
4 was the worst.
4 was not...
Look at this guy.
Listen, 4 was great, but it wasn't scary. I'll give it that. It was the step towards the more Dead Rising, Dead Space style of horror game. That was like the birth of it, these third-person action games. 5 was a further step in action. 6 was like, hey, remember zombies? We still have them, but it's still action. All right. And then people were like, this game is awful.
Has it ever had zombies? What Resident Evil 4 was like parasites and shit.
Yeah,
right?
it was like parasite people.
Actually, they're freakers.
They're freakers. Streamer.
They've always been a virus. They've just chose to manifest the virus in different ways throughout the series.
Yeah, it's like different strands of the virus or something.
At the beginning, when it was more campy, we were just calling them straight up zombies, but it's revealed that it's the T virus that causes the zombification, and it's just sort of like another way to look at it.
If the demo has any indication as to what 7's going to be like, I'm very excited for it, because I've played it like 3 times now, and it's really atmospheric, and there's some really interesting questions going on with some interesting secrets. I'm assuming you've seen more of the secrets than I have, Nick, but...
Yeah, I've seen all the secrets.
Safe bet.
Okay.
I'm very reticent about getting on hype trains, but as far as this whole E3 goes, I think Resident Evil 7 is the thing I'm the most hyped for now. Not for the VR either. I just really want to play the game and see where they take it.
Yeah, I didn't play it in VR. I didn't play it till I got home, and I played on my TV, and I thought it was great. Was MALF not a fan? Is that what you're getting at? Or
no, I meant in the world, in the general Resident Evil community, when they revealed that trailer and then the demo right after, there were quite a few people saying, what are you doing to the Resident Evil name? How dare you make it a first-person game? Right? Like, you spoiled the whole thing.
No, please do! It's...
I just can't imagine saying that and then playing that demo and going, wait a minute. What am I saying? That doesn't make...
No, it was so good. It was really, really creepy. And I have a lot of questions now, but if that's... we've had 2 quote-unquote PT failures now, and this is clearly PT inspired at a little bit. I'm ready for a game that's going to be like a AAA, I don't want to say Amnesia, but a game that lets you feel helpless a lot of the time and like truly make you feel horrified. We haven't seen a AAA company do that yet.
Really, really, really want to stop calling anything PT ever again. We've just sort of likened anything with naturalistic looking textures that's a first-person horror game. It's a PT-like now, and I've seen it said many times for stuff like Allison Road, various games that have started to be developed and then vanished. I don't know why we're so obsessed with comparing things to that. It was a demo. It went away. Can we move on?
I think
they
people
don't
are
own the concept of first-person
I think
horror.
people are just comparing it because people really wanted PT, and it was just ripped away. And so people are like, anything that remotely resembles what they were hopefully going to get, they're going to call it PT inspired.
It wasn't the definitive first-person horror game. It never even existed. So I just want less obsession with it is all.
And for people who are curious, what I'm talking about is the second PT failure. Allison Road was canceled, so that's gone. But anyway, yeah, no, I definitely think Resident Evil 7, if the demo is any indication, is going in the right direction. Absolutely.
I think I've got a controversial opinion about Allison Road being canceled.
What is it? You don't care?
Good.
Oh,
as far as I'm concerned, too many games.
Too many
More
games.
of them should be canceled.
Just cancel all of them except for Afterbirth
Don't even
Plus.
care which ones.
Afterbirth Plus actually got canceled, though.
If you got to do it, you got to do it. Whatever leads to less games is good, I think. No games.
Man.
Just take a year off.
We should go play outside with sticks and kick cans around. That's fun.
Nobody ever has experiences anymore.
Can you imagine if Last Guardian got canceled?
Don't
Listen.
jinx it.
It's almost here, Nick. October. Don't. It's almost here.
You can't do that to Bear. It's too much.
Yeah, Bear would cry. Bear would have like shit his pants at E3. They didn't have a demo for it, but they had a huge like screen with the beast there that if you walk close enough, it would follow you and interact with you.
Bear almost shit his pants just watching the same trailer they showed last year for the same game. He was really hyped for that.
Yeah, exactly. This one had a date at the end. God damn it. And he knows that animal's gonna die at the end, right?
There's no way that animal can live. One of two things will happen. That animal dies or the boy goes back to his own world after reuniting that animal with his family or something. There's only two ways. Those characters are not together at the end of that game.
It's gonna die of a heart attack. Do you know how hard that heart has to pump all that blood?
You know, Jim Sterling just did a video about this very concept that the only way that the games industry seems to know how to evoke emotions is to kill things. So every time there's something that looks sort of cute, we just imagine that is the way the story's going to go. And for the most part, they don't do much to dissuade that opinion. So it's kind of an interesting conversation to think like how video games and violence tie together. So we sort of expected arc or story trajectory just from seeing a character model.
Not everything that dies of violence, though. Maybe he's just gonna get tuberculosis.
Listen, I'm all for a happy ending where they both live.
There's no chance.
I know.
The best you're gonna get is the boy has to choose whether to leave the dog bird to his dog bird family and return to his own dimension, or the thing is dead.
The boy could die, and then
people are gonna be crying at the end of this game. He's either gonna leave the dog or the dog's dead.
The boy could die, and then that bird rat monster could just like forever hover around his grave, like for the rest of his life.
The boy could die, and it ends with the last guardian dying of old age while standing watch over his tombstone. That could be the other way that it would end.
There's another option, and that's that he could reunite the baby bird dog with its mother bird dog, and then they all die together.
Or
in a car accident.
Or he's really not the last one, and then it gets together with another one, and they make a baby.
They wipe out the whole species. They make a new one and then wipe that one out.
Yeah.
The last guardian leads the boy to the other guardians, but then the boy is a double agent from the tribe that hates the guardians, and he introduces
kill the whole thing.
Phage, wipes them all out.
Dude, that's a plausible answer, though.
Or, oh no, here's a
no.
So he introduces him to the other guardians. The other guardians try and kill him, and then his pet dies defending him from his own family.
Oh. It's somewhere in there is the ending of this game.
It's gonna happen.
We'll get back to you in a few months when we know which one it is.
You'll see. Speaking of things that are dead, Mighty Number 9 has arrived.
Has anyone played this?
Who has played it? Who has played Mighty Number 9?
I'm hesitant to even talk about this because it really has become like beating a dead horse this week.
Yeah.
But I do want to point out that last week and for like 3 weeks before that, ever since that trailer came out just before release, we've all been talking. We're like, it looks so bad.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like an anime fan on prom night.
Like an anime fan on prom night. You will leave disappointed.
They had trailers for it in the Deep Silver area at at E3 as the same trailer. It looks like shit. And then it came out and people were like, it was pretty bad. Yeah.
So
does not surprise me at all. Although
Nick,
it's kind
you've
of
played
disappointing.
It's better than nothing.
It's better.
Yeah, I saw that.
Nick and Malf, you both played it?
No, I haven't
No.
played it. I've watched the ending and
Okay.
I've watched lots of gameplay and I've watched people tearing it apart mostly. I don't intend to play it. It doesn't look very good.
I
I
want to
read
know
an
why it's so terrible. Does anybody know?
Somebody
It's like a dollar
pandered-
store Mega Man game with sort of sub-adequate controls and not really anything original to bring to the table.
So wait, remind me, because I remember way back when it happened. It's like one of the developers who used to work on Mega Man or
Kaiji
something
Inafune?
Yeah,
He
is
was the head of Mega Man.
he was the
for
Mega Man guy, and now
Yeah.
he's not at Capcom anymore, so he wanted to sort of make his own
Mega
spiritual successor
here-
to Mega Man.
here's my take on it. You know, good ideas and shit are a dime a dozen, right? I've got a million good ideas. I basically invented Minecraft in high school, but
Man.
you know-
I like how you say that with just like nonchalant. It's like, could have been a
Nonchalant.
billionaire.
but you know, game development is more than just having the ideas, and sometimes the art is project management. You're managing other people, other team members and stuff. You're relying on their skill, you know, keeping to a budget and schedule and stuff like that. So, you know, this guy, I thought maybe, okay, yeah, he's got the past experience, but if you're not sitting in the cushy comfort of Capcom patting your wallet and really actually like breathing down your neck to make sure shit is going as planned, you know, with Kickstarter, there's too much room for slipping off the critical paths, and I just think this.
They also promised like a dozen platforms for the thing to release at the same time, which is not an easy thing to develop for.
Yo, but why would you do that? Like, were those all stretch goals that were like,
Yep.
for every $100,000 we get, we'll add another platform? Because that
If
strikes
I remember
me
correctly,
as
that's what it was. Like
real
every
silly.
big stretch goal was like, we'll do it on the 360 and the PS3 and the PS4.
Which is really funny now. Which, I mean, it sounds rude, and I'm again trying to avoid just kicking these people while they're down. But like, it's in 2016, who gives a shit? Like, if it's already out on PC, Wii U, Xbox One, PS4, sure there are, I guess, a certain percentage of people out there that are still like, I want to play this on my Xbox 360. But I mean, come on. Like,
What would have been easier and smarter was to just hit the main few and then spend some of the money you get from the first
Yes.
bunch to release them at your own timeline.
Which I'm sure that they're thinking right now. They're like, man, it would have been sweet if we just were like PC and the major consoles, and then after release, we'll get to them instead of like, we're going to simultaneously release.
Well, they've
on
already
every
delayed
single
the
platform.
360 one. So, I mean, it's
But
already...
they waited until like the day of
Yeah, the
launch
day
to tell
of.
people, which is really good from a marketing standpoint.
Somebody in chat said the 360 one was canceled. Is that true? Can anybody check that?
I read
Yeah.
their main website was not updated since February.
I think it's delayed. Not
But there's
updated since
also
February.
like
Nice.
a huge amount of people that were like, why do like, well, the game is for sale, but as a backer, like, I don't have access right now, where you're just like, come on.
Oh
Like,
yeah, the access wasn't given to the backers until after the review codes went out.
give the backers access when the review codes go out, especially when they've been waiting for
Yeah,
3
absolutely.
years to play the game. Like, I'm not gonna feel slighted if like somebody who paid $200 to finance Mighty Number 9 can play the game at the same time that I can.
Yeah, okay.
But there's so much like that went weird with this campaign that it kind of blows your mind. And I mean, people are like, $4 million is a lot of money. It is, and it isn't. Over 3 years of development with a team that I don't know how many people are actually on the team, but you can see how that money would get used. But like, man,
They
the
also said
credits.
it wasn't fully
yeah,
4
the credits
million.
are 4
It was-
hours long.
It was like 2.65 million that they actually had to put toward development. The rest of it was business and admin expenses.
Right, which are, I mean, those are costs built into producing a game still, I think. But
I'm just saying the division seems relevant to me.
It's interesting to see like Mighty Number 9, which was one of like the biggest, most successful Kickstarters of the time. People were so excited for it to fail, and then we've got Bloodstained. Apparently, the demo for Bloodstained is incredible and like is exactly what people were looking for out of the game. And then we have Yooka-Laylee, which I say is so far is incredible as well. All these old developers creating these different games, and which ones are succeeding and which ones aren't. And we'll never know, but I wonder why. Why are the Yooka-Laylee team and the Bloodstain team able to produce something, but the Mighty Number 9 team can't? Where it almost seems like the Mighty Number 9, I mean, I'm speaking out of mostly ignorance here, but, you know, the project of Yooka-Laylee seems much more complicated than what, like, they're trying to do with Mighty Number 9, and they got similar amounts of money.
Mighty Number 9, it blows my mind a little bit that they were unable to make something that really was faithful to the Mega Man mold, although apparently it's more faithful to like the later Mega Man X's, which admittedly I'm not familiar with. But Capcom already made Mega Man good again. Like, they made Mega Man 9 and Mega Man 10, which were awesome.
Yeah.
And to have 3 years of development and then come out with something where people are like, this is like, it feels like a cheap knockoff of what we actually financed, is really sad because it's been done. And I mean, Capcom obviously has more resources than even a legendary Kickstarter does, but at the same time, it is like, it makes it even more disappointing.
And Mega Man is a very formulaic game. I'm not saying that to be mean to it. I love Mega Man, but it is literally a formula. It's 8 robot bosses with stages that are somewhat themed to them, and then several Dr. Wily levels and an end game. Like, that's what they all are. They've gone off the deep end with some of them towards the end, but like the first 6 were basically identical, minus the first one having a couple less bosses. But why is that a hard thing for them to put together?
That's
Do you
what
think
I
they
was
would pretty much have it down?
Yeah, that's what I was kind of getting at. I feel like it's something they should have experience putting together, and yet they had
Nobody takes points off for the story of a Mega Man game, right? Like, it doesn't matter at all.
Yeah. Give me bad robots, Dr. White instead, and we're good to go.
Mega Man 9 has like 3 cutscenes. There's like a cutscene where they introduce Mega Man after you beat like 2 Robot Masters. After you beat 4 Robot Masters, they're like, oh, Roll is sick. She's got the Robo-Influenza. Yeah. And then we beat 8 Robot Masters. They're like, time to fight Dr. Wily. And I'm like, this is my jam right now. That's all I need. I don't even need the one in the middle where the sister gets Robot Influenza. Doesn't bother me at all. Just let me kill the Robot Masters and get on with my life.
Now we're gonna get an anime, aren't we? Didn't they kickstart an anime as well?
I was going to mention that they've also started looking for other ways to broaden the IP in the middle of them developing this game for 3 years, which, you know, why don't you see if the thing is even successful before you start spending more on it?
It honestly, to me, it really does just scream. It's a poor management of the whole thing, right? It's like you've got, I'm sure what's his face again is like he's really good at making games and stuff like that, but as soon as you go to managing other people that are working on the project and stuff, it's a whole different ball game. Sometimes you need somebody that's, you know, sitting at a higher level, less directly involved with it, to kind of just be like, all right, like, you just been too in the zone. It doesn't make sense. Like, if anybody who has like a background in art and shit will probably understand, like, you start working on a piece or you're doing something, you're scripting, it doesn't really matter, something creative, that you kind of get this like little bias or tunnel vision, right?
Yeah.
You need to grab somebody even off the street sometimes, or like your 4-year-old nephew, to be like, what do you think of this? And you'd be surprised at the feedback you can get. It just seems like, you know, with how terrible it is, that was not really a...
Yeah.
It's a shame.
You know, there was a thing in development for a while that eventually got canceled. I think it was called Mega Man Universe, and I was really looking forward to that. Because it was supposed to be sort of the Super Mario Maker for Mega Man, and that's something I've wanted since I was a little kid. And they sort of actually had a level editor in, I think it was powered up on the PSP, but it never really gained any traction as far as the community goes. And I really think that Mega Man Universe would have been a much better ultimate way to extend that franchise than to try and send it off.
That was part of the perfect storm as to why Mighty Number 9 succeeded, right? Because like it was that during that time where that was canceled.
Off the back of that being canceled, there was so much enthusiasm for a proper Mega Man game, so it all got rolled over into that Kickstarter, if I remember.
Yeah.
Really unfortunate that never happened, because I really would have loved that.
Me too. Well, we'll see what happens. My fingers are still crossed for Yooka-Laylee now because I've seen it, and I'm eager to hear what you have to say about Bloodstain, Nick, because you have your demo now.
Yeah, I'm gonna play it tonight.
We'll see how that goes. Well, before we have enough time to talk a little bit about Dead by Daylight full release before we dip into the end of the show. If you guys want to talk about that for a little bit, What's that creepy thumbs up for, Mal?
I played it for the first time yesterday, and like immediately Ryan just plunged my butthole with a machete.
Well, you were asking for it, man.
At least he explained that it's an asymmetrical multiplayer game.
Yeah, thank God, because how would he know? So Dead by Daylight is officially released. I have mixed feelings about it. It's a game that I really enjoy with friends, but is massively problematic in the balance department and feels like it was rushed out to capitalize on its popularity before it was ready. But it's one of those games I can still look by its flaws and say, yeah, this is still pretty fun. Particularly after like playing a little bit more, realizing that if you know the maps well enough and know the buildings that are going to be spawning into those maps, you can infinitely outrun the killer and never get caught. And I've been able to do that a lot now, and it sucks because the killer just can't. It's not possible for the killer to catch you. There are areas in the map where you can just run circles around the killer, and you just can't do anything about it. And that kind of sucks.
I feel like Dead by Daylight is a very bad game that is only good because it fills a gap in the market for asymmetrical multiplayer games that actually fairly reliably work online. And that's enough right now.
So then why didn't Evolve last?
Because they poison the well, honestly.
Yeah,
that's my opinion on it, is that Evolve kind of like took the consumer for granted and was like, we're going to release a fuck ton of DLC and possibly risk splitting the player base. Also, it's cheaper. It's like one quarter the cost. So I think like that helps out, and probably people streaming it has helped out a lot as well. Like I don't doubt that. I also feel like it's hard to explain, but it's like, do I feel bad about supporting a game that is bad that I like? And I think the answer is no, because it comes down to like I think that the game is really fun to play. But from like as Fox was talking about Mighty Number 9, like a project standpoint, I consider it like almost a failure. The fact that it's so buggy.
Oh yeah.
And the only gameplay apart from hide and seek for the survivors is that shitty QuickTime event. Like that stuff is, I mean, it's not inexcusable, but it's very, very shallow.
Yeah.
It feels like that game could be a lot more and a lot deeper. But as is, I have a fun time playing with it, so I still like kind of recommend it, which is strange.
It's a weird spot.
I think it's important. I mean, like, again, the premise of Evolve, the asymmetrical, I think that definitely creates a very fun multiplayer dynamic. That's, it's new, it's fresh, and it's generally fun. So I kind of feel it is important, even though the game is shitty, to sort of support it in a way, like a necessary evil, just to be like to other developers, like, hey,
that's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Think of some other interesting asymmetrical multiplayer possibilities. Like it's good. People will buy it. It's important at least to have conversations like this where we're saying like, Dead by Daylight, in theory, could be good. I mean, it kind of sucks, but other developers, like, please listen to what we're saying, and you can really cash in on this. So yeah,
I'm with you. Actually, I was gonna say the same thing. Like supporting it in a way as being like, developers, more of this, please. That'd be great. At the same time, I think it's a really good sign for Friday the 13th game when that comes out, because that looks awesome, and the gameplay, the E3 gameplay that they showcased, looked awesome. I cannot wait for that game.
Dude, I want to, they should have a Jason X level in that, where you're in the spaceship.
Well, they're going to have multiple different Jasons at launch that you can play as, which is awesome. But I think it's all going to take place on Camp Crystal Lake. But it's going to be multiple ways to escape. So instead of Dead by Daylight, where you're just like, got to get 5 generators and open the door, it's like, well, you can build a boat to get out onto the lake to find certain things, or you can repair a car and find car parts throughout, and some counselors are going to be better at doing other things than other counselors. And Jason, he's always walking, but you can teleport to where they are as long as you're like out of their sight, I think is how it's going to work. Or at least I hope that's how it's going to work. Oh, it's gonna be so good. I hope it's gonna
can
be
you
good.
try to kill him or actually harm him?
You can't harm him. You can stop him by like barricading doors and stuff like that, where he has to kick him down and stuff. But no, it's like in Dead by Daylight, the same thing where you can't kill or harm him.
I think that they should add that sort of stuff. Again, even if it just like ultimately slows them down significantly, but it'd be cool to like have the team building like a Gatling gun. I don't
A Gatling gun,
just
just blow down
or
Jason.
like a swinging log. I don't know, various things
Man,
like that.
The other way is like, you create this summoning portal to bring Freddy out, and you can reenact Freddy versus Jason. There you go.
That would be ridiculous. I feel like I should just say a couple things about Dead by Daylight. It's I generally have a good time playing it, but I agree with Ryan. It's a pretty bad game ultimately, and it's really not ready for release at this point. Almost every bug, if not every bug from the beta, is still present in the release version. We've got the tree glitch. We've got people doing weird laggy shit. We got no ability to change killers in a lobby, which I don't understand how they could not have that.
It's really bad.
Every single game you want to change killer, you got to all leave the party and then rejoin again, which is like really prohibitive when you're trying to play with your friends. Like, why would that be a thing? And just the content is threadbare. You can get away with it if you're gonna just say this is how shallow the gameplay is, and then that's gonna be it. Like I said, it's fun enough to play, but I really wish there was more going on in it. More levels, more killers, more options, things to do as the players. But in a way, it does differentiate itself from Evolve by being much less complex, and it's much more accessible, and there is still some level of strategy to it. So in an immediate way, it sort of is easier to play and probably more accessible for that reason. So maybe making it too deep is not the best idea, but I would be curious to know what they might add. And at the very least, just add more buildings and variety to the levels and obviously patch it.
I know people who were shitting on me in the comments for saying like the levels are reskins, but kind of are. I understand each map has its own unique sort of building that it gets in, like some have like a cornfield, but for the most part,
they don't all have cornfields.
I understand that
threshers,
but for the most part, it's the same dilapidated buildings you can run through, and it's not that different.
They could really benefit from having an ability to turn off perks as well, I've heard. If you're ending up with a bunch of friends, some of them play it more than others, you might have a shell shock conundrum where some of them have abilities you're not supposed to have, which breaks the game.
There are, luckily you can turn off perks. Like you can actually remove those in multiplayer.
Oh, can you? I thought you couldn't, and that was a big point of contention in the community right now. No?
I've been able to remove everything I've put on. Like the med kit one I took off on the last game because I was like, guys, this is too broken. But there are some perks in that game that are like insanely powerful for survivors. For instance, there's one that's a sprint burst, so you run faster. So the killer can't catch you.
Cooldown.
And it's a 20-second cooldown.
Wow.
So by the time the killer finds you again, you'll have it, and he'll just never be able to catch you. It's ridiculous. There's no balance there.
And then you get the stuff like the survivors going in and out of windows where you just can't do anything about it. It's just
there needs to be like a cooldown on that or something. Like something as simple as like going through a window. Now your survivor can't go through a window for like 5 seconds or something. Something small to stop them from...
Yeah, it hurts your stamina to the point where maybe you can't run or do another action for a few moments. It's pretty easy to sort out, and I'm sure they could.
I saw in one of the tutorial videos, the guy was going through the window and he like interrupted him, grabbed him.
You have to be close enough for that though.
Oh, okay.
As long as they know where that grab radius is, they can just basically stay out of your reach indefinitely by just going in and out of windows, which will buy you infinite time for everyone else to do the generators.
Yeah.
So in a way, pursuing the killer is the best strategy if you're adept at avoiding them. Which is odd.
It's really weird.
I want to like the game, and I generally do like it because I enjoy playing with you guys, and I would be happy to play more of it. I just really think the game needs a lot of patching and work still.
It's best with friends. It really is. But... well, I think we wanted to talk a little bit about the Oculus stuff, but we're kind of running short on the time frame, it looks like, as it is almost 8 o'clock. If we don't have, because I don't have access to the email, we actually don't have an Ask Roundtable today. Do we want to talk about the Oculus DRM thing real quickly?
Well, there's not all that much to say about it. Basically, they're just opening it up so the DRM has vanished now, which is exactly what everybody wanted. I don't know if it's enough to save faith in them, but it's a good move at the very least. So for all intents and purposes, using Revive, you should be able to play the majority of Oculus games on your Vive after compatibility is sorted out.
Makes me happy I got the Vive.
Now I want to know if there's going to be one in the other direction. I have an Oculus. Will I be able to play Vive stuff once I get Touch?
It's up to the developers. It's not up to Vive.
Yeah.
Vive isn't locking it down.
Well, yeah, I know, but like, is there an equal project in the works?
In the works? Yeah, that's true. Well, has the Touch even gone out to anybody yet?
It's not available yet, but I think it's this summer.
Okay. Well, I'm actually curious because I'm assuming you'll be getting the Touch, Nick, at some point.
Yeah, it would be dumb not to, considering I already spent $600 on the headset.
I'd be curious to see. Yeah, I'd be curious what your thoughts are, and I'd be interested to know how well the Touch works and what I'm assuming they're gonna have room scale in some way with the Touch. That would make the most sense.
I don't know.
So.
I didn't hear anything about those little satellites or anything. I thought it was just the stick controller or whatever they're doing.
Cool.
When is somebody gonna make an X-Men game where you play as Cyclops?
That would be interesting, yeah.
I mean, sure.
And on the bottom of the Oculus, there's a little lever here that you could use to change it so you're opening the flap to shoot your beam.
That's awesome. That'd be the best. Dude, with the Touch and like the Vive hands, you could be like Wolverine. You can do a Wolverine one.
Vive hands with Wolverine.
Vive hands, whatever you call them. I don't know, waggle sticks. I don't know what the Vive things are called.
Dude, you just reminded me there was a really good Wolverine game on the 360.
Yes, Ravensoft.
I want to play
Wolverine
that again.
Game. Yes. Oh, that
It
game
was like God of War
awesome.
with Wolverine.
It's on Steam too.
Yeah, I think I should get that.
Maybe it's on sale during the Steam sale.
Check
it out. Well, that'll be it for our topics today. Again, I don't have access to Bear's email, so I can't get the email. So we don't have a question today, but we'll have them next week when Bear is back. So if you have any questions, make sure you send it over to Roundtable. Is it roundtableyt@gmail.com? Just email us a question, and we'll pull one for you. We'll figure it out.
We put it in the descriptions of all the VODs
Yeah, it's all
on
the VODs.
YouTube.
So
It's not on Steam. I don't see it here at
Oh,
all.
it's not? I thought it was. Well,
I don't
that's
see it.
lame. Well, that'll bring us to everybody's favorite section after everybody's favorite section, since we didn't do everybody's favorite section, and that's Nick's Weird Games. So every week, Nick goes and gets a weird game. We play Guess It. We get points. The end. Ryan or Mel?
We play Guess It.
That's about right. Tell me I'm wrong.
All right, close your chats.
Yes, close your chats.
Ryan,
you guys in chat world, you can
Orange
keep yours
Crush by REM.
By REM. Okay, that would be
That was
like...
good. All right.
Nick's Weird Game, it's Nick Weird Games. He's got a disc, it's from the PS to Nick's Weird Games, it's Nick's Weird Games. It's from the year of 2002. It is published in Japan. It's a 6 out of 10. Famitsu gave it a 21. But online communities say it's pretty fun. Oh, something like that, you know.
Oh, it was excellent.
Not bad,
That
not
was
bad.
good.
All right, so let's see how close I got to your actual assertions there in the song. So
I'll tell
it
you
is a
straight up,
PlayStation
it's
2
a
game.
PS2 game. Yeah.
You
and
missed, though. I did like a bunch of not PS2 games in a row.
We did.
I really did, I promise. But now today we're going back to that again. So the game is not from 2002, though. We're looking at 2006 is the release year for all three regions.
Wow.
This is a single-player or multiplayer game, an action-adventure hack-and-slash. And we're looking at a developer of Capcom Production Studio 2 and published by Capcom. Director is Koichi Kimura.
That settles it.
That's not God Hand, right? God Hand's not obscure.
Is not God Hand.
All right.
And this is a later installment in a reasonably long-running series.
Maya, stop.
So the events of this game focus on a warrior that possesses powers, and you're on a quest to stop Hideyoshi Toyotomi.
It's a new Onimusha game.
Who has unified Japan
Hell
League
yeah.
with his demonic army of Genmas.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's Onimusha 3, Hideyo's Wrath of the Tiger.
And he also joins with several allies who share the same goal. This game differentiated itself from prior games by being more of an open world thing instead of having fixed cameras.
I only played the very first Onimusha. It was like a weird, like, samurai Resident Evil, is how I remember it playing.
You haven't gotten it yet.
Oh, it's not Onimusha. Okay.
Well, you haven't given me the full title yet.
Oh, all right. Well, it's Onimusha 3.
Not
Snakes.
Onimusha 3.
Oh. All right, I got nothing.
You guys are Googling for it, aren't you?
None.
No.
Complaining about the NHL draft.
I don't know. I don't know which one it is. MALF, you got nothing?
Oh,
All right,
Lord,
Nick.
no.
I think we're gonna get like a half a point maybe. What is it?
You don't remember what the other ones are called at all? Nothing?
Electric Boogaloo.
All
yeah,
right.
I honestly don't.
Well, you do get a half a point then, I guess, for whatever that's worth. This is
I'll take
Onimusha Dawn of Dreams.
Dawn of Dreams.
Is it the third Onimusha game?
No, the third one is called Onimusha 3. This one
knew that.
is the 6th installment, but
Oh,
the
what?
4th of the main series.
Oh, Jesus. I didn't know there were that many.
So this was the sequel to 3, I
Yo,
believe.
is there
even
2
though
discs?
There's more.
I see two
Yeah,
two discs in the
actually,
back.
there are
Two
2 discs.
discer?
It's a 2-disc.
2-discer.
Shit, son.
Rated M for mature.
I remember
A
the
new
first one being
hero,
pretty
a new
scary.
era. Completely new Onimusha. Redesigned from the ground up, a brand new Onimusha opens a completely new chapter set 15 years after the original trilogy. Stunning graphics, special effects, and even more relentless action-packed gameplay all combined to redefine this action epic. Choose from 5 all-new playable characters with breathtaking open-ended environments. Okay, I think you get the idea.
Good stuff. Well, we'll take
All
a
right.
half a point. And that will...
Who got it? Who got it? Who got it? I see a lot of Onimusha 3.
Maya, it's okay.
Everybody thinks it's Onimusha 3.
You're going to get food in a minute. Yeah,
Not God Hand. It is not Devil May Cry. Ah, there's the first one I see is Renegade Striker. Congratulations. You
Good
nailed
job,
it
Renegade Striker.
with the
Nice
Dawn
job.
of Dreams. Well done.
Awesome. Well, that'll wrap it up for today's Roundtable Podcast Live. My internet didn't shit out, and only a few technical difficulties at the beginning, but it smoothed out. I want to thank Shaved Bear Taffy for joining us today. Much appreciated, MALF. Thank you so much.
A.K.A. Michael A.L. Fox
Good
on
old
YouTube
Malf.
and Twitter.
Follow him, do the things he does. He's our regular stand-in. Bear should be back next week leading the Roundtable Live. Ryan, Nick, as always, thanks for joining us. And
Thank
we will
you.
be back. Make sure
you.
you go check us out on our Reddit, reddit.com/roundtable podcast, I think. All the YouTubes and the links and all that other stuff should be up by tomorrow for most of us. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Later, everybody.
Peace.
Hey.